Well, good morning, good morning, good morning to all of you out there in social media land. I am LaTousha Daniels, President CEO of the Miami Children's Initiative, and we are so excited. Listen, we were on your timeline just yesterday with our MCI Live, our monthly radio show. But listen, we did not want to fail you because every month we've been committed to having this coffee with a cop. Of course, this came out of just responding to all of the racial and social tensions between law enforcement and civilians. And so we thought it was necessary, especially with those who are charged with social service and charged with protecting and serving. We thought it was necessary to have a conversation. And so, since we having a conversation, Miss Daniels always bring it with her little coffee cup. So this month we got the green M&M cup. Yes, we do. And it's because I might be a little green and envious of our guest that we have today. She is just so beautiful, such a lady of elegance, and we are so terribly excited to have her. But enough of that. We're gonna get right into the show. Listen, hi, wait, come on back, come on back. Who is that? Who is that? Listen, there is a rare face. Take yourself off mute. Good morning, Miss Arnitra.
Good morning, Miss Daniels, and everyone out there streaming and watching us this morning.
So it's rare to have our Nitris on. She's always in the background, but we're happy to have our co-host, Mr. Dawkins, who's traditionally with us. Today, very interesting that we're having this subject. That this morning, Trayvon Martin Foundation is actually having a street named in Miami Gardens in Trayvon Martin's honor. So how amazing. We know that is, of course, some of what has built to the Black Lives Matter, which we now evolved with so many of the Mike Browns, the Breonna Taylors, and of course, George Floyd. But let me kind of bring in a video. Arnitris, are we ready with that video? I want to bring in a video to kind of bring you context this morning of what our conversation is about. Then I'll come back to you to introduce, Arnitris is going to do this. She's going to introduce our guests, and then we'll have a short video, and then we're going to go right in. So I want you to ride out with us. We're going to ride this out for an hour. We've got 1 hour with a major in the police department, and we're so terribly excited to have her. So Arnitris, if you cue that video up, and then we'll come right back, and then we'll introduce our guests.
This guy has been getting a lot of attention. This is your average police officer. He is a white, middle-class male. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong. He does his job well, and he takes care of his community. The only problem is that while his police station looks like this, his community looks like this. One common concern that law enforcement frequently must deal with is that police departments don't tend to look like the communities they serve. This has some people very nervous. After all, if the majority of officers are white males, does that indicate that something about the process of becoming an officer somehow naturally excludes females or people of other ethnicities? That's an important question.
Wow. Now, isn't that something to have on a national level conversation that says to us that on a national level that we have more police who do not reflect the community they serve. And so at this moment, in our monthly edition of Coffee with a Cop, I want to have Arnitris Williams to introduce someone who we think can answer some questions and have a real response to what that looks like. And so, Arnitras, come on back. I'm going to go off screen. But again, welcome to those. We see you coming on to our live. We are so happy to have this also streaming on our YouTube channel. And so you're welcome to join us. We also have a comment section as we get into this conversation with our special guests. We want you to generate questions there. We want you to be able to do that. All right, come on, Arnitras, come back on. I'm going to be on mute so there's no feedback between the two of us. As it a little bit is, I'm sure you hear a little reverberation. And so I'll turn my screen down. And when I come back, then you'll turn yours on. All right, here is Miss Williams to talk to us about our special guests.
Our special guest, City of Miami Police Major Chiquita Butler, is currently the Community Engagement Director. She has been active with the City of Miami Police Department for 23 years. She has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and a master's degree in organizational leadership from Union Institute and University. She is also a graduate of Southern Police Institute Command Officer Development Course, class number 73. Major Butler is an executive board member of the United Police Federal Credit Union, where she started her career in 1993 as a bank teller. Upon graduation from the Police Academy as a City of Miami police officer in 1998, she embraced the opportunity to work and contribute via various units throughout the agency, including Coconut Grove's problem-solving team, Neighborhood Resource Officer, Criminal Investigations, and the Training Unit. During her assignment in the Office of the Chief, she managed community service and youth mentorship, securing positive relationship between community. Major Butler has trained many recruits at Miami-Dade College in basic law enforcement and oversaw the successful graduation of approximately 5 police academy classes. The major has earned several instructor certifications, including investigative interviews, instructor techniques workshop, National Self-Defense Institute, criminal law, terrorism awareness, case preparation and court presentation, general instructor, firearms instructor, Glock armorer, defensive tactics instructor, and driving instructor. She has certifications in all high liability areas. Major Butler has been invited to teach in other countries, such as Brazil, as the only female and African American. She lectured to the Brazilian police and military personnel on race relations. Major Butler is deeply rooted in the community and believes in serving all citizens with excellence. She created a mentoring program, Butler's Angels, where she serves as president. She is a member of the Coconut Grove Negro Women's Club, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Miami-Dade County Association of Chiefs of Police, and the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement. She was recognized as an unsung hero by the Miami Soul, Helen Bentley Family Health Center Incorporated of Coconut Grove, Law Enforcement Officer of the Year by Zeta Phi Beta Sorority, featured in Brickell Magazine for the philanthropy and community service. The major is also First Lady of the Logos Baptist Church, where her pastor and husband is Reverend Keith S. Butler. They feel blessed to have a 7-year-old son, Ellis. Major Butler's parents, Alice Poole and the late Pastor James Poole, taught her to be a humble servant and praise God in all things. One of her favorite scriptures is Psalms 27. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Whom shall I be afraid? Major Butler has proven that service to others is a natural portion of her DNA.
Amazing, guys. Well, listen, it is my distinct pleasure to bring to you our Coffee with a Cop audience, Major Chiquita. I better know her as Kiki Butler. Come on, bring her on, Arnitras. If you turn your computer down just a little bit for us, Arnitras. Well, good morning, Major Butler.
Good morning, my beautiful sister.
How are you? Listen, we had bonds of like, girl, great minds think alike.
Great minds do think alike, because I'm going to trip you out this morning. It is so funny that you brought out your green mug. Look at what I have here with me. Oh, my.
We are sisters from another mister.
We may not be sisters in blood, but we are certainly sisters from the heart. Okay.
That's right. Listen. Oh my goodness. That is precious.
I couldn't believe it.
Well, Major Butler, again, good morning. And we have had such a wonderful formal introduction to you. It is good because often we don't understand the person behind the badge. And so would you do us just the kindness in sharing just a little bit of what you think maybe Miami and those who are watching on our platforms don't know about Major Chiquita Butler?
Well, aside from the beautiful reading that Anitras did, thank you so much because I was sitting here going, "Who's that lady?" Thank you so much. She read my bio beautifully, better than I probably could. And it's no secret that I'm a servant. I just believe in the Word of God that service is what we should do. God honors those that serve, and I've always had a heart to serve. It was bred in me through my father. Most people in Miami-Dade County know Pastor James Poole, and he was a man of service, even in martial arts. That's one thing that I don't believe was on my bio, but more recently, I was promoted to the rank of 7th Dan. And for me, that was a great accomplishment because to be promoted to the ranks higher than master's degrees in the martial arts means that it had to come from my lifestyle, not from how high I could kick or how hard I could punch or how many tournaments I could win. It comes from the type of lifestyle that you live. And so I was very honored when my Shion Master Whitehead called me and told me that I was going to be now promoted to the rank of 7th Dan. And
Wait, hold
so for
on. We got to give you some love on that, honey. Listen, I don't even know what that means. It just means that you can handle it. I don't want to go nowhere without, listen, we get in the bar. I'm in a bar and this is a situation. I'm looking for Chiquita. That's what I'm looking for. I just, how we used to say
but it
it.
took over 30 years to get there. I mean,
That's amazing. Listen, I tell people I don't know karate. I just know crazy. That's all I know. I go crazy on you. But congratulations, some hearts on the guys. Oh, let's love on Major Buck, major accomplishment. A few years ago, and then I'm going to allow you to continue to talk about what that journey looks like. About a year or so ago in Liberty City, we had some of our residents to share when a lot of African American women, we know human trafficking is very real in our community, but it seemed that there was a certain burst of grabbing African American women. It was like we were being targeted. And so we wanted to have some self-defense classes and things like that because we found it necessary that women knew how to defend themselves. But I hear you. It's more than being able to do that. It's also having a level of discipline.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong. In my earlier days, yeah, I could actually kick high, split low, and all of that. And I still can do some of it. I can do enough to save myself. But I do believe that it gives women and young children in general a sense of confidence. I tell you that besides my faith in God that was instilled in me from a very young age, martial arts would have been the second thing that built the confidence that I have in myself because I was always taught I can do anything.
That's right.
I think I can fly. I can figure out a way to fly. I'll go and learn how to be a fighter pilot or fly a plane. But I believe I can do it if I put my mind to it. And if it's in God's will, it may not happen when I want it to happen, but it can happen. And so with that being said, I think that's probably one of the things that I don't tell many people because, martial arts is my secret.
Yes.
So I don't tell many people about it, but I was very, very excited to get that phone call about a week ago. And so I just thought I'd share that little tidbit.
Well, again, congratulations. So listen, I want to lead into a little bit of a video that will talk to us about and bring context to why I thought it was necessary to continue to have conversations with cops, but more specifically, what it's like to have it with a minority. I want to tell you that we started off with Chief Press in Key Biscayne.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to have a conversation right after George Floyd with those who did not look like us, because it seems like those were the people who were perpetrating most of the acts that caused death.
Mm-hmm.
To those who were being retained or constrained in some kind of way. It seemed that when it was white on white arrests, there were more de-escalations that did, as opposed to things that were ending in death. And so we started that conversation there. The next conversation we had was with Troy Walker to talk about broad scale, what's happening at a state level, but then drilling down from the state's kind of legislative or perspective to how it impacts locally. And then now we have the privilege of now drilling down a little bit further, and that is to kind of talk to a minority. And though Mr. Walker is a African-American male, I do want to note that there is another element that we're going to highlight in this upcoming video. And then we'll talk a little, we'll drill down into some questions that I'd like to go into. Arnichas, if you bring that video up for us, and again, we are so happy our viewers coming on. Continue, guys. If you would share this video, we've got Major Chiquita, and again, to me, she's Kiki Butler. Major Chiquita. Major Chiquita Butler on with us. Let's bring this video up, Miss Williams. And
ourselves in the shoes of African-American families whose young people go out and they worry that they're not going to come back safely.
African-American communities have suffered under Democratic control. To those I say the following: what do you have to lose? Police brutality is not to know.
All right. So that is a Associated Press video that any of us can find online, and we'll add that later on in our post op of this Coffee with the Cop. But basically, Major Butler, it is the center to which we started this whole conversation. Why there was a need to understand better policing and bridging the gap between law enforcement and our community. And so would you tell me a little bit, Major Butler, about the jurisdiction that you, or the area that you have purview over as a major, and really what does that mean? And then we want to talk then about what actions that the city of Miami, and even in your own personal, your professional relations, how do you feel as a minority in the police department? So first, just kind of tell me what's your actual purview, the area that you specialize in and that you oversee, and then lead into the question about what has been your journey in becoming a major. And maybe some of us don't even understand what that means when we talk about major and sergeant and you know, we you know, we're not paramilitary. So the floor is yours, Major.
Okay, so basically, my particular title is Community Engagement Director. I work directly with engaging the community, and that would be more than just going out into the community and talking to the people on the streets. It would be also working with other community partners such as the NAACP, the ADL, different organizations that work with the community together with the police, MCI being one of them. And so I am here to make sure that everybody has an open line of communication, that they don't have to jump through hoops in order for the chief to hear their concerns, because I work and report directly to Chief George Colina, which, by the way, greetings on his behalf.
Oh, thank you, Chief. Thank you.
And so I will say that it was a position that he thought of, and he thought enough of me to believe that I had the personality traits to make that happen.
Mhm.
It has not been easy. Obviously, we know that COVID and things of that nature have caused a lot of problems with being able to really find the ways to connect that we used to connect, but nevertheless, we were able to do them anyway.
But can I pause you, because in February I want to say you were promoted to this role officially, and we were being honored the same day. I think I was being recognized in County Hall, and you were actually going through your formal ceremony. And so I want to stop there. That number one, we want to applaud the fact in 2020 that has been a year that has been a lot of heaviness. We want to celebrate the fact that in our hometown, you were promoted to the level of major, and that's major. Let me say it that way. That's major,
Thank you.
and so we got a chance to kind of celebrate together a little bit, and I just wanted to add that's new, but that shows the progression, and that was before George Floyd. That shows the level of progression, and I will compliment Chief Colina, even in his response here recently, in some of incidents that have happened within the city of Miami, that he was prepared to say, I do not condone it and I don't support it. And so we applaud Chief Colina in that. And so being the community relations liaison, or that person, you then are that direct contact. And I need the community to hear that.
Mhm.
You are the direct contact for the City of Miami Police. Should there be matters that they want to engage better, they want to build, they want to have an event with the city, they want to have a forum with the police. Is it true now they're contacting you? Help
Yes.
me out. Okay.
Yes, that will work. Yes, that will work. We still have our commanders that are in each net area of the city of Miami, and which I'm city of Miami at large.
Right.
Yes, and so some of my duties even take me outside the city. I have been able to deal with the Black Advisory Board in the county, different organizations of that nature. And so I am not limited, because we all know that even though this is the city of Miami, that's just not how Miami works.
Mhm.
We all have to come together, and we work with the county, we work with Miami Beach, we work with other agencies. That's just how Miami works. We are a melting pot, and everybody just passes through each other's neighborhoods. And so my position rather, is able to do that. And I do want to add to what you said. I'm sorry, real
No,
quick.
no.
I want to add to what you said about Chief Colina and his leadership, and how he did address things very swiftly. I have to say, I am so blessed to be a member of such a robust agency, where we don't wait for things to happen before we think of what we could do in the event of. We have always been ahead of the game in training, and making sure that our officers are taught and have a forethought of what could occur, because we've been here before.
Mhm.
Miami Miami has been through some things.
So
Okay.
listen, I have said this in certain forums, Major Butler, and that is that Miami is a little bit ahead of the curve, I believe, as it relates to police and community relationships. And the reason I say that is I remember the night when the McDuffie riots happened. Now I'm aging myself,
Yeah,
right?
that was in the 80s, sis. That was in the
Yes,
80s.
but that's all right. We thank God. He preserved us. He
We
keep us
have not
preserved.
cracked, but
Yes,
yes.
we don't crack. We don't crack. We don't crack. But I remember my mom was on the Jungle Queen that night. I'll never forget. My mama was on Jungle Queen with Jordan Grove Missionary Baptist Church in Liberty City. So to show you how deep my Liberty City roots go. My mama was on the Jungle Queen. The church took a trip to that night. And that was the night that the riots broke out. And we were right there on 55th Street and 12th Avenue at my aunt's house. And my mama could not get home quick enough. I thought somebody was going to hurt my mama. I wanted my mama to come home. But I'm using that as an example to say that McDuffie and then the Lozano trials all happened in city of Miami. This happened, and those who are watching.
I could say the 80s and the 89 era.
Yeah.
So they were close together.
Yes. And so we were forced to have communication. That's why what you mentioned, organizations or advisory boards like the Black Advisory Board, they had to come because the Willie Sims and the Dewey Knights held them to task. They held their feet to the fire. And so you're right, we are a little bit above the curve, but I do have to deal with a national average, Major Butler, and that is there are not many people who look like you in high-ranking places in police enforcement or in law enforcement. More especially, there are not many women, minority women who are serving. So was it a difficult path for you to make it to the level of major or to be a part of the administrative and leadership team of a major city or metropolitan city police force?
So let me again applaud Chief Kalina, because this is the first time in history of the City of Miami Police Department that we have this many women of color in high-ranking positions. He deserves a pat on the back multiple times for that, because if it's not for the chief, if the Lord does not touch his heart to do that and move upon him, then that probably would not have happened. But he is such a foreseeing person. He saw that we worked hard and he felt that we deserved to be where we are. And so because of him, the group that I have been promoted with in these ranks, it's history. This is the most that we've ever had.
So 2020. So that brings frame, Chiquita, to our conversation then, that it's not normal. This is an anomaly, if you will, right?
Yes.
To have that, and for you to have been invited to places like Brazil and other places to train others. Would you say, what would you say is that dynamic? Okay, you're saying it's leadership, but what did it take for you? Because I'm going to show this to our high school students later. This is going to be shared with our junior high school students, in our Miami Children's Initiative program. I need to know what it took. I understand. So you had to go to school. You had to realize you had the ability. You had to have some training. I won't talk for you. Talk to me about what that journey looked like for you.
And let me say this: you have to position yourself. No doubt about it. I do feel as a minority person. I don't know if I like the word minority. I like to say as an African American woman.
Okay. And we use minority because we're talking Black and brown. We're talking across. Yes. But you want to talk from your perspective that you're common.
Yes. As an African American woman, I do feel the pressures that I put upon myself to be great. And some may not like that thought. I think there's a thin line between being cocky and being confident. I think that you have to go into certain arenas with confidence about yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, then no one else will. So you first have to believe in yourself. You have to say, I can do this. How do you do this? By educating yourself, by positioning yourself, by getting as much training and understanding, knowledge of the set career that you decided this was going to be your calling. Everybody is not meant to be in law enforcement. Everybody is not meant to be police officers.
Well, let the church say amen. I had to come back in on that point because some people are walking around with a gun and a badge because they have some insecurities.
Yes.
And
I mean, some people
or paycheck.
Some people need the money and a steady paycheck with benefits. But let me tell you, to walk in these shoes and absolutely love this career, I love putting my uniform on. And if I even gain an inch of weight, I'm trying to lose it because I want to make sure that I portray the right attitude, the right beliefs, and it's not about the man that's in charge. I'm loyal to the city of Miami because every day that changes. As we know, it is known that my chief has announced that he will be leaving at the beginning of the new year. And so you have to look at these things and not get caught up in the bureaucracy of politics and things of that nature. You have to be loyal to the community and loyal to the agency itself, that you will come to work, put the uniform on, and honor the badge.
Mm-hmm.
Honor the badge.
I'm glad you said that. So Major Butler, I think we understand that any law enforcement agency has to have open and relevant and sensitive leadership. I think we've been very clear in that, and that we can applaud the city of Miami, though we've had our issues.
Yes.
Right? Even, and I know we referred back to the 80s and 90s, but I mean, there was some things that happened, just about 7 or 8 years ago in Overtown, right? So we're not gonna be removed from that. But what I'd like to move forward in our conversation is, you've seen it. I heard it was 23 years in law enforcement now, with City of Miami.
Yes.
So a lot has happened in 23 years, Major Butler. The faces have changed. The players have changed. And one of the national pressing issues, of course, is George Floyd. That's what started this. What would you say are some of the issues that we are facing here? Real issues, because Colina had to create a community relations position because he saw we needed some community relations. Come on, let's just, right?
Well, we have community relations. I don't want to confuse the two, because we have a community relations section that is headed by Major Albert Guerra.
Okay.
So they do different events, like with the kids, with PAL and things of that nature. So we do have that. The engagement,
yes.
That was to ensure that our organizations that work with the community, it could even be the people that work with the homeless. We know we have problems in the homeless community. Homelessness is not a crime. It's a social issue. And so he knew that and said, we need somebody that can be the liaison, that can talk to them, that can deal with the NAACP, that can deal with the ADL, that can deal with MCIs, that can deal with the different people in the community organizations, so that we can work on these things together.
On a broader scale. So since you're on a broad scale, what would you say are some things that need to be healed within our own community? Or things that you have noticed through racial tensions from a national scale, but could be looked at a local scale? What are some of those, in light of the Breonna Taylors and George Floyd, what are some racial tensions that you think need to happen to heal this community and move us forward?
So obviously I haven't worked for every agency.
Mm-hmm.
Different agencies have different issues, different departments, different states have different issues. And I have to go back to say, because we've been through so much already here, we have different things in place already. Our officers wear body cams. We have different things in place where we can go and when they get so many response to resistance reports that we are able to go and look at that and say, okay, we need to sit down and talk to this officer, make sure everything is okay. We have those things in place. We have multiple less than lethal weapons that are assigned to the officers that they wear on their everyday uniform, that is a part of their uniform. Not all agencies have that. We are very transparent. The one thing I like about our department is if something happens, if there's something that we can let the community know right up front, we try to let them know. I mean, the secrecy or holding back some of the information sometimes causes people to make up their own ideas.
Which we saw with Breonna Taylor, which was horrible that they held that information.
The mind starts to come up with things that make you anxious about the situation. And it doesn't have to be that way. And number one, if as an agency you mess up and you know that own it in capital letters, in that order, own it, say we screwed up, this officer did this, and then correct it immediately. I believe that if those things happen, which we, thank goodness, we've been able to do. Now, I can't say
because that's my next. I'm going to ask you that. Are there policies in place for that?
Yes,
right?
We review our policies regularly. Okay, regularly, because even though they may be good today, next week or next month, something happen that causes them not to be as good. And so we review them often and we make adjustments often. And you have to do that because we have to hold people accountable. We have to hold officers accountable. Now, sometimes in that, we don't like to rush to judgment. I think that the community needs to understand the way law enforcement works in different agencies if they live in a particular community, because sometimes they want us to rush and do things like they will say, this is an example, why hasn't the officer been fired yet and they've been just relieved of duty? Well, you have to remember, you don't know what the case may be. They may be building a case to make sure that when the officer is eventually possibly fired, they're not able to get their jobs back. No chief of police wants to get rid of a bad apple, only to have that bad apple go to court and be reinstated.
Now, where does FDL?
In no way whatsoever. And so we like to make sure that we get it right the first time.
The first time. Very good. Very good.
That is extremely, extremely important, because sometimes people, they're just not patient with certain things. I'm not saying that should happen in all cases. I'm just telling you what I have observed over the years of being a trainer, because
good. So talk to us about what that means to be a what level of training is since we're lauding our city of Miami police, we're saying that what levels of training, and I must appreciate and salute the partnership between the Circle of Brotherhood, right? Because we're talking about Liberty City, right?
Brother Leroy, shout out to Brother Leroy.
Brother Lyle, that commitment of kind of going through training hands-on right in the community, that every new recruit has to go through that training in Liberty City to talk to become sensitive to the needs of what it looks like, just having relationships, because often we will find, and I think that's what happens in that moment. You talk to me about it. You discover in that recruiting moment when you're sitting with residents in Liberty City and talking with those who've had not beautiful pasts, that we're more alike than we are different.
Yes. Listen, even Brother Leroy and Brother Lau will tell you they caught flack for even doing that, because there's some people that they don't want to give us the chance to even get right. I mean, everybody has a chance to correct. I mean, even God gives us the opportunity to ask for forgiveness. We have to be open to correct issues that were wrong and have an open mind to want to do better. And that's why I love the Circle of Brotherhood so much, that these gentlemen were arrested, have gone through things, but yet and still they said, you know what, how can we help, not just talk about it, not just be bitter about it, but come back and make sure that we tell the police department, this is what we see can be done better. That is extremely important. Extremely important.
All right. Okay. All right. I got it. We're on the same page. I think you're right. And cultural sensitivity is so significant. For those who are just joining, you're watching Coffee with a Cop with Miami Children's Initiative. We've got Major Chiquita Butler from, I got something on. What I got going on over here? Thank you, sweetheart.
Sorry.
My assistant just said, get that off your face. Thank you very much. We've got Major Chiquita Butler from City of Miami, who's over the engagement component or department there in City of Miami that engages with the community to ensure that there is not a gap between the community and basically the chief's office. She is your direct liaison between that. Now, there is a little video that I've shown each time. I won't show it today, but talks about how our Black and brown boys have to get home safely, right? Just to get home. And basically it tells us how to engage properly when you are engaging with law enforcement, if you're ever pulled over. I want to ask you, Major Butler, as a former trainer, one who's recognized, decorated in your accomplishments, what do you think our minorities need to hear? Now, we don't have the necessarily black and white issues that the country have. We do have some challenges between some of the Hispanic community and the African American community. Now, there was some chord struck in this Black Lives Matter when you found a huge majority, a great portion, or maybe it was a small portion, saying that Blue Lives Matter, to say that because African Americans or those who are supporting Black Lives Matters are saying that those behind the badge don't matter. How did you feel, and what was some of the communication had at your level and among police officers as it relates to maybe Black Lives Matter and this whole Blue Lives Matter component? If you want to touch it, you can. If not, we can move on.
Oh no, I'm never scared. So I have to say that as you can recall, about a month ago or so, we had the partnership with the Heat organization, the Miami Heat organization. That was some of the things that we talked about in an open forum with other law enforcement agencies. And I'm sorry, not a law enforcement agency, but other law enforcement officers within our agency, as well as community activists and people outside of the agency. We even had our CIP, our Civilian Investigative Panel representatives there. We had other organizations, representatives from other organizations that attended. We even had your pastor, Pastor Gasson Smith, was one of our representatives that was there from the community on behalf of the community. And we all know he's very outspoken and open on how he feels about things with the community. And so we brought them in. We talked about those different feelings. Personally, I believe that every life should matter. I do understand that the people, are saying and how people feel when they say that Black people are being killed disproportionately by other ethnicities. So I do understand that. And I also understand that just because something happens with one law enforcement officer in another state, or even if it was to happen in this state, does not mean that the community should take it out on another law enforcement officer that had nothing to do with that. because we all matter. The world cannot function without law enforcement. You know,
I agree. I
I,
agree.
you know, I have said it candidly to others. Listen, just like all police officers are not bad, all Black men and Black and brown children are not bad. And so that's how we have to look at it. We should treat every situation as an individual situation, because it does pain my heart to see an officer just standing by their car and get ambushed. Why? They had nothing to do with the situation that happened over here.
Right, right.
And don't get me wrong, I don't want to see an officer do something wrong to someone in another community or in my community or any community, because at the end of the day, trust me, we cringe. Other good law enforcement officers do not want that to happen, because it makes it so much harder for us to function and be able to serve and protect, because
You know what? We've heard that.
with service, and it makes it hard because now you're in protective mode all the time. How do you serve? Now you don't trust the community, and the community doesn't trust you. It makes it hard for all of us.
You know, and we've heard that echoed with each police officer that, or law enforcement, that it is, please note, and they've said that with no uncertain terms to our audience, that all one bad apple doesn't reflect the entire group. And how difficult it makes for quality community relations or community policing, because of course it's human nature. When something hurts, you want to get out the way, and you want to defend yourself from it. I am pleased to see that we as a county will potentially have elected a new first-time woman as the mayor of Miami-Dade County. And one of the things that she is pro in, at least a part of her agenda, is proper engagement and proper relationships that talk and discuss the Black lives and the Blue lives. And I'm glad to know that City of Miami has already engaged in that level of conversation. For someone who wants to be a law enforcement officer but feel disengaged, feel a little disillusioned with police work, what would you say to a new potential recruit who's looking to become a law enforcement officer?
So I'm glad you brought that up, because we've actually discussed that already, especially for Black and brown people, because we do understand that there is the trust level is down. And so we have been having a tough time soliciting young Black men, Black women. And, you know, we like to say, listen, if you want to correct the problem and you believe that you can be a great representation of law enforcement, please join us. We've been saying that, but we do know that the numbers are low. That is the truth of the matter. Please, it is not the way you think it is. We are not trying to not have Black and brown individuals within the department. Those days are over. They are over. We do solicit and we do want our young men and our young women to apply. This is the only police agency that I've ever applied for. I just thought I would look good in this uniform.
And you do.
Bias.
Pop your collar. You do, young lady.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. I said, you know what? I wanted to join the military, honestly. My father was a Vietnam vet, and unfortunately, you know how they came home and what happened. And he was a Purple Heart recipient, so he was wounded. And he said, "Not my daughter." And I asked him a little while later, "Hey, can I join the police department?" And I remember I wasn't old enough, because back in my day of starting as a bank teller, which is why I was a bank teller, I wasn't old enough. You had to be 20 and a half, about to be 21, because that's the way the charter was written in order for you to carry a gun. So I was like 19, fresh out of high school and everything. So I had to do a little something else in the department. But finally, he came back to me and said, okay, as long as you promise me that you're able to be a detective later. So I didn't even know what that meant. I just wanted
Right.
to put on a uniform and serve the community and serve the people. And so I took full advantage of that. And let me tell you, it has been the most riveting decision that I have made in my life. It has provided for my family and I very well. And I have enjoyed the contacts and the communication that I've had with people. I am not blind or oblivious to think that everything is perfect. Everything is not perfect. We strive to do better every day. And I must say that my colleagues and I, especially the young women that I have been promoted with and I have the pleasure of serving with, we have said to each other as we mentor other young officers that are coming up in the department, because that is also very important. We have to reach back and bring up others. We have said how we want to leave the department better than when we came. And I believe that we're on the road to do that. We're on the path to do that. And so we just want to keep that going. And it never hurts to learn new things. I communicate with many people in the community to find out what they think, what new and innovative things are out there. I applaud you because this is another avenue to reach the masses. We know that you can reach many people over the airwaves, and social media is the hot way to go. And so thank you so much. I hope that you never stop it. I hope I'm invited back again for whatever, because this is a very good way to reach many people at one time with the unified message. And that
And
is coming together and making the community, the world, a better place.
Right. And I think it's necessary to have real conversations. And so I want to thank you. I just wanted people to know last month when we did it with Special Agent Walker,
Yes.
people said, I didn't know that we had an African American in such a high role.
Yeah.
And he cringed every time I said it. I said, well, you the police of the police. And he was like, well, don't say it that way. But I say, listen, you got to say it the way we understand it, right? He said, well, anytime someone discharges a weapon and someone, I have to be on the scene. If a law enforcement officer, or if there are questions or if there's corruption. And so it was good to know that we had people in place that would be reflective, and we would hope be sensitive enough in those roles to respond in a way that would protect the interest of those who are the voiceless. And so I think I'm hearing that from you today, that Major Butler, we can say within the city of Miami, there is a culture that has been created by the current chief and now those who he had promoted that will have a voice and sensitivity for people who may not have access. But beyond that, we now know today that there is an office of access. And so if there was a person who needed to get in contact with your office, how would they do that, Major Butler?
So they can call me 305-603-6000. Ask for Major Butler. That's it.
Okay.
I'm on Twitter. MPD, think as Thomas, I will tell you in 2 seconds. Everyone knows that I'm also on Instagram, Lady K 000, and on Facebook. So I'm always available to the community. You have to just reach out. It's not a bother. I don't get bothered by people. I'd rather you. Oh, I said that wrong. Lady Kiki 001.
Okay.
And I tell you that most of the time people believe that they're bothering us or they're bothering me. I've had people say that before. Please don't think that you're bothering me. But I'm on Twitter at @CButlerMPD, @CButlerMPD. Please follow us so that you can see what we're doing. We're always doing great things. I want to make one thing clear before we close up. I know the other issue, and this goes back to what you said about the community and how do we build the trust back. I know the community is always concerned about officers covering up for other officers. I'm a mother of 3 sons. I have 3 boys, and I'm also over a youth group at church. And I like to say that I'm approachable. I do have a lot of kids that I mentor, and I've heard that numerous times. Let me say this. Bad cops do not do things in front of good cops. That's just not how it works. So please do not believe that every time you see something happening, that cops are just going to cover up for other police officers. That's not the way that happens.
Because now the street news say that's not the case, that we're gonna cover up and fix it. But I think you mentioned the level of transparency that we have, and now we better understand that there is another layer to you, that if we have issues that we can go to Florida Department of Law Enforcement.
Yes.
But that it is significant to know that, because I believe, like you suggested, that in order for people, if they see a problem, it's best to get involved with that problem
and make your complaints known. We cannot deal with the bad apple if we don't know. We don't want to wait 5, 6, 7 complaints in or times in, and then you say, oh, they did that 2 or 3 times to me. When it happens, make your complaint known so that we can address it and make sure that we are able to pluck that apple out so that it does not rot on another. We don't want that.
Thank you. Well, listen, we're in the last 3 minutes of this. I tell you, an hour has flew by with us. We're so happy. I'm seeing in the comments so many people are saying good morning to us, saying thank you, Major Butler, for your service and serving.
My pleasure.
I think I am neglecting, and I don't know if we can even do it in these last few minutes. But I wanted to ask, had you ever experienced any negative moment out of uniform where people then, just because of you being a minority, and what did you do, and how would you advise someone else if they have a negative experience if they're ever pulled over? As you just said, if they have a moment, call the office after it's over. But we want them to get home. We want them not to escalate. Don't try to have court on the side of the street. Talk to us about that. So have you had an experience?
That's easy. That's
okay.
Easy. This quickly. Make sure that you're not, you just said it, don't have court on the side of the street. You're going to get a ticket. If you're going to get a ticket, sign the ticket, take the ticket, take it to court. If you feel that they have talked to you in a way that has been rude, or in a way that you don't feel was respectable, make your complaint.
But where in the city of Miami would they make that complaint?
Internal Affairs. It is the number. You can Google everything else. You can Google that too. Internal Affairs. Or you can call me. Any officer or any supervisor can take a complaint. Any police department. You can walk into any one of our 3 police departments, South District, North District, Central District, and make a complaint. We have to take it. We have to take the complaint. Okay. So you don't need to stand on the side of the street and debate.
Okay.
To do that. Okay. You simply, yes, no, done.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
We make it longer. When you doing that back and forth, you're making the situation longer. Just do it and take it to court and make your complaint known.
All right. So in closing, what are your hopes in moving forward with relationships with our community? You said moments like this. What would be ideal that you would think would be great moments that the community could better engage and we better understand? And then just your last statements again to some young lady that's listening who we'll be sharing this with our high school and our middle school. What would be some things you would want to share with them about career pathing and non-traditional roles? What would you say to them?
To our young ladies first, get your education. Keep your head on a swivel. Everything comes with patience and perseverance. Just make sure that it is in your heart if you're going to follow this path. No matter what path it is, make sure it's in your heart. And always, always have a thought process of whatever you get into that you are going to serve. If you serve, God will bless it. That's number 1. Number 2, I believe that if we continue forums such as this and getting together, conversations, we have to talk. We have to talk. Don't assume. Talk. Ask the pertinent questions. And I believe that if we continue going on the path that we're going, we can only get better. We can only get better in our community. And I'm hoping that we as an agency here in the city of Miami can be a learning tool for other agencies. And I'm not saying that as a way to be cocky about it. We just are robust in what we do because we've already gone through some of the things that other agencies are going through. So if we continue this path, sister, just continue doing what you're doing. I hope that others also bring in other law enforcement agents that have other issues going on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about it. Let's be open and honest, because that is one of my main concerns about these conversations. A lot of times people are not honest. They say what they believe the community or others want to hear. In order for us to get to a place of healing, it is going to require everyone to be transparent and honest in their answers and how they receive them.
Well, thank you very much. Well, in closing again, listen, it has been an honor to have coffee with you. Let me get that coffee mug in the shot. Let me get that coffee mug in the shot to have coffee with this cop today. Thank you, Major Chiquita Butler, for being with us today. Again, share your contact information if you're having issues or concerns or ways that you want to better engage with City of Miami Police. Please share how we contact. Your Twitter, you said, was
at C Butler MPD, and my email is 7013 at miami-police.org. Again, that's 7013 at miami-police.org. My number is 305-603-6000. I think that's pretty easy.
Yes, it is. All right. Well, Major Butler, thank you for joining Miami Children's Initiative Coffee with a Cop. It's been a pleasure of having you. Again, extend our regards to Chief Kalina. And again, have a blessed day. We pray the blessings be with you and your family. And Miss Chiquita Butler, it has been a pleasure having coffee with you. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us, our viewing audience. Miss Butler, we're going to go off screen and we'll get you too. All right. Bye-bye, guys. And thank you for joining us.